U.S. officials have released the identities of the 3 soldiers they say were killed in a drone attack on a military base in Jordan. The victims are Specialist Kennedy Sanders, Breonna Moffett, and Sergeant William Rivers. Dozens more were wounded in the attack. The White House blames Iran-backed militants. President Biden is now under pressure, but how the U.S. responds remains to be seen. Nathan King has more.
Yeah, Tower 22, no one's really heard of it, but it's on that very porous border between Jordan, Iraq, and Syria. Officially, about 350 personnel there, largely for counter-terrorism efforts, they say, the American armed forces against forces like ISIS. Now, this Islamic Resistance Army in Iraq claiming responsibility, a newish group. The Pentagon say they have the backing of Iran. That's rejected by Tehran and said they didn't have any influence in the operation at all. But with the first American dead since the Israel-Hamas war in response to the October 7th attacks, this is obviously stepping up a little. Deterrence has essentially failed for the U.S. Remember, they brought in 2 aircraft carriers and allied forces. They've had attacks from the Houthis on the Red Sea shipping, Hezbollah firing rockets. They're trying to pull Israel back from entering that conflict as well. And, you know, even though they say they are going to have a very consequential response, John Kirby, the spokesperson for the National Security Council here at the White House, said they are not looking to escalate the war.
These troops were conducting a vital mission in the region aimed at helping us work with partners to counter ISIS. And even as the Defense Department gathers more information about the attack, that mission must and will continue. The counter-ISIS mission is separate and distinct. Indeed, it has been long-standing and unrelated to our efforts to support Israel and to prevent a wider conflict in the region. We do not seek another war. We do not seek to escalate. But we will absolutely do what is required to protect ourselves, to continue that mission, and to respond appropriately to these attacks.
But not escalating and responding. This is where the U.S., as the global dominant powers between a rock and a hard place. There are domestic calls in Congress from Republicans to hit Iran and hit Iran hard. Well, as you can hear from there, they don't know how much Iran is responsible, whether they want to point the finger or not, and what sort of response would it be. Joe Biden, the U.S. president, said that at the time, if they respond too forcefully, they could be escalating the conflict. They don't want a war with Iran. Iran doesn't want a war, but at the same time, feelings are running high. And of course, there is domestic issues too. This is an election year for the U.S. president.